Greetings programs, Atari here, you there, and welcome to another in our series on Arduino Basics. There are two types of signals that we can parse on an Arduino. Up until now, we've been working with digital signals, on or off, 1 or 0, binary values, only two states available. Now we're going to start looking at analog signals. And analog signals differ because they can contain a range of values. For this project, we're going to start with the simplest of analog devices. This is a potentiometer. And if you'd like to learn more about potentiometers themselves, click the link in the upper right-hand corner and you'll be able to learn all about them. Now let's wire the circuit. Now for this project, we'll simply be using our potentiometer, a handful of jumper wires, and of course our breadboard Arduino and our computer. Now this is a very simple wiring project. We have 5 volts out from the Arduino to the input pin of the potentiometer. We have ground from the output pin of the potentiometer back to ground, and our signal pin on the potentiometer will be going into the analog 0 pin on the analog input of the Arduino. Now let's take a look at our Arduino Sketch. Now I won't be going over the complete sketch here, but I did want to highlight this one line. The analog read command reads the value from a specified analog pin. In this case it's reading the A0 pin. The pinout does vary between Arduino models, so please make sure that you have the correct analog pin. The analog read command will return the analog reading on the pin, although it is limited to the resolution of the analog to digital converter, which on the Uno is between 0 and 1023. Now let's upload the sketch and see it in action. And here we have the completed project. Now, you won't see anything happening here on the board, so we have to look at the serial monitor to get our output. As you see, as we change the value of the potentiometer, we change the value of the number on the serial monitor. So what exactly are these numbers anyway? Well, we have 5 volts going into a potentiometer, which is essentially a variable resistor. And then this green line coming back to the analog pin is giving a certain percentage of that voltage back into the board, with the rest of it draining off to ground. And as we turn the potentiometer, we change the value of that resistance, thus we change the value of the voltage going into the analog pin. The Arduino contains an analog to digital converter that senses the amount of voltage coming in on a particular pin and converts that into a 10-bit binary number that can then be converted into decimal. That number corresponds to the amount of voltage being picked up by the analog pin. Now, we can take that 10-bit number and convert it into an actual voltage reading with just a few more lines of code. Now here we have our same sketch with just a few lines added to do a little math on that raw number that we get. Float indicates a data type for floating point numbers, for decimal point numbers. Floating point numbers are often used to approximate analog values because they have greater resolution than just plain integers. On the Arduino, floating point numbers are stored as 32 bits of information. Now to determine our voltage, we'll take the 5-volt input and divide that into 1023 individual segments. Each of those segments will represent an amount of voltage per segment. We then multiply that segment by the sensor value to get our actual voltage. Now, as we change the value of the potentiometer, we can actually get a readout of how many volts are passing through the potentiometer. From 5 volts all the way to 0. And that will conclude today's Arduino how-to lesson. To learn more about using the Arduino, click the playlist here and watch the entire series. And to get the complete show notes for this episode, including the sketches that are used, click the link right here. If you're interested in goofy electronics projects or learning more about various electronics platforms, click the subscribe button, and don't forget to click the bell notification icon so you don't miss anything. My name is Atari, and until next time, tally ho, y'all!